Hello to my fellow KW stakeholders. It's Aaron Kaufman, Chief Stakeholder Evangelist out of Atlanta, Georgia, bringing you another episode of the My 401 KW interview series where we dive deep with some of our top profit share earners and stakeholder-minded associates. And this morning is no different as we have the opportunity to talk to one of my favorite team leaders in KW, Mr. Ben Crenshaw out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. How you doing this morning, Ben?
Hey, doing all right, Aaron. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. Thanks again for taking the time to share some of your thoughts with us around profit share. And look, before we get into profit share and all that great stuff, let's hear your story, man. I know that you have an interesting entry into KW and that you weren't in real estate before you became a team leader, but kind of go back, Ben, to where you were before real estate, how you got to be a team leader at KW, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
Well, I've got about 30 plus years of sales management, and all of it in 1099 atmospheres.
Sure.
So probably the longest run I had, I owned a business with my father from 1994 to 2011, where we owned a Motorola two-way radio dealership.
All right.
And so I'm sure everybody's heard the name Motorola. This was
Sure.
We started well before cell phones were popular. We sold to mostly public safety, plants, hospitals, and smaller entities as well in big farms. But we took over that business in '94, I guess, and the area we covered in far western Kentucky and southern Illinois, we had about 5% market share when we took it over. When we sold it in 2011, we had 98% market share.
Wow.
So we sold all the radios. So we sold the business in 2011. And I was kind of on a high horse. I figured at that young age, I'm going to retire for a little bit, and played a little golf, got the handicap down to about 1 or 2 for a while. And then, got a little bored and got back into doing a little sales, and actually ran a volleyball club. I think I told you about this, Aaron. I ran a volleyball club, and when I took it over, we had 89 kids in the volleyball club, and 3 years later, we had 450 kids in the volleyball club. And,
amazing.
Shortly after that, I was interested in getting into real estate and sales. So I stopped by a local MEG agent office and took a KPA, kind of backed out of my interest a little bit. And then I was looking
for a second, Ben. So first of all, what was it about real estate? I mean, just in general, you had some previous history with obviously buying and selling real estate. Was that sort of the attraction into potentially real estate, or the idea that the commissions are a lot bigger in real estate when you're a salesperson?
Yeah. I mean, the commissions didn't hurt. And of course the many different avenues that real estate can give a human to grow. You can grow so many different ways in real estate.
So what was it about? There was a Keller Williams mega agent in somewhere where you were living at the time. What was it about that office, or was it just, hey, you just walked into the first office that was there? Why was that office or that mega agent on your radar for someone you wanted to contact?
At the time, this agent was on my radar because I knew him. Small town.
Yeah.
It truthfully wasn't the allure of Keller Williams. It was just I knew this person.
Sure.
I went in and had some conversations. Took the KPA and oddly didn't hear from him again. So I thought, maybe I just did so poorly they didn't want to work with me. I don't know. I just kind of started getting in other avenues. And about a year or so later, I got into buying a house. My wife and I were house shopping, and this was with the Keller Williams agent that was a friend of hers.
Yep.
And she was trying to recruit me to be an agent for her, asked me about the KPA, and I told her, funny thing, I've already taken it. So they looked it up, and I got a call from the broker and the OP asking if I'd be interested in leadership. And nearly 5 years later, here I am. So.
All right, so talk about, I mean, look, it's, we probably have some team leaders and different leadership people here, people thinking about being team leaders, but what was it like? I mean, obviously you have this great background in sales, but
Mhm.
that's a good foundation. But was it a little bit, I don't say intimidating, but sort of, crazy, this idea of, hey, I'm gonna step into because you stepped right into a team leader position, and now you
Mhm.
are, leading agents, right?
Right.
Was there any issues for you? Any insecurities? You know, questions about whether this was the right decision, or did you just come in guns blazing and just dive into learning what you needed to learn? I mean, talk about your mentality at that moment of, did you feel valid? Did you have to work? How did you build credibility with your agents? I'm just curious about how that developed for you.
Well, I'm going to answer yes to all that. I
Yeah,
came in guns a-blazing. Yes, there were insecurities.
yeah,
Yes, there was pushback because I'm not an agent.
yeah,
How are they going to learn from me?
yeah.
I've never sold a house. And I will say, I mean, of course, it wasn't immediate or one conversation, but months down the road, and not all of them jumped on board, but most
Sure.
of them understood that my role in this was to help them grow their business.
Yeah.
My role was not to teach them how to write up a contract.
Right.
That wasn't my job. We had brokers for that. So once we learned that what my role was is to lead them to grow a business and to lead other people to lead people to grow a business.
Yeah.
Then we started headed stronger in the right direction.
So you took over Market Center. They only had about less than 50 agents when you joined.
Yeah, it's right at, I think if I want to be honest, it was 52. I
Okay.
think when I joined. Mm-hmm.
But you were fairly entrenched in that geographic market from a relationship standpoint. I mean, you had been living there for a while, so you were.
Yeah, I lived there I lived there for 30 years.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
so you come in, the office has got less than 50 agents, right? So talk
Mm-hmm.
about what you went through, because I know you drink from the fire hose of KW and all the
I
things.
do. I do.
To this day, I see what you're doing and how you're really intentional about sharing our values and our models, and I love what you're doing on social media. But kind of go back to that moment, when, okay, so you're gaining the trust of your agents. You're obviously committing to mastering this role, right? You start kind of drinking from the KW fire hydrant. I'm sure you're reading the MREA books. You're attending training. Talk about just sort of maybe how you evolved, in the first couple years in this role. I mean, obviously you had a lot of success. You grew this office to almost 100 agents, and what was that period of time, Ben?
Well, you'll have to remember, I started officially December of 2019.
Mm.
So I brought COVID. Is
Yes.
what my office talked. Because
Right, what a time, right?
yeah, I got married in February, and I went to my first family reunion in February, the one in Dallas.
Yep.
At which everybody came home with the mysterious flu.
Yep, I remember. I was there.
And of course, I got married at the end of February, and March 16th is when we got shut down. So we had a few weeks of not being able to go into the office.
Yeah.
And we had to pivot a little bit, but yeah. So the first year was a challenge, just with the COVID, and then when we got back in Kentucky, I know it's different from some of the other states, but it was like after a few weeks of being locked up, nobody wanted to be in their house anymore. So everybody wanted to sell their house. It was crazy.
Right.
So they said, we want to find a place that's on the other side of the planet from our children. So they.
Right. No, I get that, man. I get that. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, not only was it challenging to be a brand new agent a brand new team leader who hasn't sold real estate, you basically take over a market center where you're not able to face, build relationships with your agents, right? I mean, what was that like, Ben, to try to lead, from the get-go while the COVID's happening, and you're not able to, lean on building those face-to-face personal relationships? Did you really have to just double down on virtual and phone calls? Talk about how you were able to kind of get through that period of time.
Yeah, we did a lot of Zoom. I mean, we really never stopped any of our classes. We just started utilizing Zoom for our classes and our team meetings, and I utilize Zoom for one-on-ones.
Yeah.
It was harder to connect with other agents outside the brokerage, mainly because they had the same fears that our agents did. Are we never going to sell a house again? They didn't know what was going to happen. And But
so how
I
were you
still
able
did.
to grow? So how were you able to grow in that time? I mean, obviously, the greatest shift of wealth and opportunity are in moments like that, right? Agents are scared. They're looking to their company for training and support. Oftentimes, they're not necessarily getting the same value that we're giving our agents in moments like that. So, were you just what was your growth? What was your growth strategy? Just shock and awe value, and just trying to provide value to your agents, but also getting them to invite people to Zoom trainings. I mean, because it's a challenge to grow a KW office when people are not able to come into the office and experience our energy and our culture that is different in a market center physically.
You're exactly right. So what I did is I focused on our agents. What I wanted to do is make sure that our agents knew how to take their business to the next level.
Yeah.
Which is another stat I was proud of for our team down there. We were 40% cappers. 38 to 40% of our agents were cappers the whole time I was down there.
Yeah.
So it was really good. We made sure we still poured into the education. Our agents, we found agents that were willing to teach, and the agents taught, and it was really a blessing. A few of the agents that we had down there were amazing, and were always ready to put their hand up. I'll do it. I'll be glad to help. And you know as well as I do, Aaron, that if you get an agent to teach a class, it's 100 times better than getting an OP or a TL to teach a class. And so I leaned into that a lot. We did our broker did a good job of making sure everybody was up on the documents. So we were doing we did a really good job as a team of making sure the agents got the education they needed, and that flowed out to the other agents in the market. They were, I know we're going through a tough time, but how are you all getting all this information? How is it you're handling the multiple offers so well? How is it you're handling, this so well? So that got out to the market pretty fast.
And I know, Ben, you're a big believer in the value of our culture and how it's inherently different. My guess is that time, though very difficult, probably solidified and raised the value of the culture of that market center, right? Because I travel all around North America teaching a class, and when I go into a market where there's been a natural disaster, recently, the culture of that office tends to be a lot stronger after something like that, because you don't appreciate KW culture till you need it, right? So
absolutely,
that moment, right? Did you feel did you guys come out of that, with a much strong? I mean, you said these agents were willing to contribute more and dive in, but did you find that really kind of helped take that market center's culture to the next level? That moment of the pandemic.
I do, because like I said, we in our ALC did a really great job of keeping everybody engaged, and it made it even that much better when people started coming back into the office.
Exactly.
The team meetings were bigger, the classes were bigger, and they were more engaging and more intentional, which was really good. And then you have to add to that, in December of 21, which was 2 years after I took over, we had that horrible tornado that went through our Western Kentucky. So we had that to deal with as well. Which that is one of my favorite testaments to KW culture. And I'm pretty sure I told you about this, because we had, I know the tornado hit. I remember it hit my area around 9:45 Friday night on December 10th. And Saturday morning, myself and a lot of other agents were already down in Mayfield. We were, what do we need to do? Where can we go? What do we need to do? And we had a call with our regional leadership early Saturday morning, which, the McKissicks do a great job in their regional leadership. And, we had action plans set in place. And then, through that time, through the first few weeks, we had probably $1.5 million to $2 million worth of donations sent into our area by KW agents, not leadership, not KWRI. It was
unbelievable.
Agents. Yeah. And we had over 40 agents that traveled into the area at separate times and helped just clean, and it was amazing. I wish I could get into all of it for you. I might get a little clipped if I do, but we'll.
No, but Ben, look, if we don't tell our story, I mean, who is, who's going to do that? And and I got to tell you, man, I've been to places where major natural disasters have happened, or there was something going on in their market that galvanized, agents around our company to help them out. And what concerns me the most is, 5, 6, 7 years later, 10% of the people in the office, 20% of the people in the office even know what happened, right? So if we don't
Right.
talk about those kind of stories, right? And look, we don't want to take a terrible moment and say, well, this is our opportunity to grow, use this as a growth tool. Okay. The fact is, we want to remind our own agents and the agents that might be interested in KW why and how we're inherently different. And if we don't tell those kind of stories, Ben, they get lost. Right? And I think we sometimes, we tend to not want to talk too much about that stuff because we think it's bragging. And I think people need to understand we're just so freaking excited about being at a company where agents, not just in our own office, but around the entire company, are vested in our success. And when times like that happen, it's valuable to be a part of a company where you're a part of something bigger. I mean, go talk to some agents in Maui and ask them what
Yeah.
it's like to be a part of KW after those terrible fires, or Fort Myers, Florida. And so, man, we got to keep telling those stories, man, because if we don't, they're going to get lost, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Um,
I definitely agree. But and to extend on that story is we had one of our agents. I don't like to say any one person did anything
yeah,
because
sure.
we all did everything. But one of our agents kind of started a push for a Christmas because it was, like I said, end of December, and we did a
Yeah.
Christmas in downtown Mayfield. I mean, her and a team of people organized like a 40-foot tree to put in the
Wow.
shopping center's parking lot. We had bands. We Wendy Papasan, I'll say her name because
Yeah,
we all
she's
know
amazing.
Jay. Yeah,
Yep.
and her office in Memphis set up a box truck full of presents for kids, and with other donations, we ended up giving 4,000 kids a gift in
Amazing.
downtown Mayfield, and it was an all-day event. NBC News came down. It was,
Great.
and it was a Sarah Riley that did all that, and
Yeah.
it was amazing. And the team of work that we did with all of Keller Williams. I don't even want to just say one office, but it was it was a blessing to see all that. If for nothing else, for me, that's why you want to be part of a company like this,
Yeah.
because
Cool.
when you say family, some companies say it and some companies mean it, and I think our company means it.
Well, we mean it, and there's actually an incentive, right? I mean, and I don't want to, and I
Mm-hmm.
never want to dilute culture, Ben. I mean, I just taught my
Right.
class in your office like about a month ago, so and that was the second or third time I've done it. My feelings about this, but at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, a part of telling these stories is making people understand why.
Yeah.
Why do we do this at KW when it tends to not happen at other companies? And I think it's this stakeholder mindset that we're vested in each other's success, financially. And
Yeah.
not just from a profit share standpoint. We're building technology to protect agents from an industry that's trying to turn them into low paid door openers. We're a company of purpose. We're a company of community, but we're also a company of stakeholders that are vested in a common goal. And this is why we tend to share our ideas and care about each other more at KW. We didn't just, we're just not about we're not just a bunch of nice people, right? There are nice
Right.
people at every company. Okay. Humans are the good, the bad, and the ugly. The question ultimately at KW is why? Why are we different? And, as it's because we treat our agents like partners and stakeholders, and they're vested in each other's success. So the cool thing about that whole story, Ben, I mean, look, I'm guessing after surviving and coming in, under those circumstances, that built that hyper sped up your evolution at KW as a leader, right? I mean, you literally, I'm sure, within within a 2-year period of being a team leader under those circumstances, you know, I mean, I bet you look back 2 years later and was like, holy smokes, this has been one heck of a journey, and look what I've been able to do and become under those circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say, and they were probably all of them were make or break situations.
Yeah.
For a lot of team leaders, not just
Absolutely.
me. I mean,
Absolutely.
COVID hurt or help, made or break a lot of team leaders,
Yeah.
and all the offices involved in that tornado, because like I said, it was on the ground for 170 miles,
Yeah.
so there's a few other market centers involved in it. excuse me, that were, and every one of the offices did an amazing job in their area. So it was, yeah. And like you said, it brought the office even that much closer together. It brought them, it made them just that much more understanding of what Keller Williams was about. I mean,
Exactly.
when you see people driving for 15 hours just to come and clear out people's front yards, and the best part about this for me was, and it's hard for me, Aaron, to see people when they go to help somebody, they want to take a picture of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Who are you helping when you do that?
Right. Exactly.
And nobody knew what we did in our area.
Yeah.
Because our agents weren't posting, look at me, I'm giving away food today. Look at me, I'm cleaning up out of this guy's yard today.
Great point.
Our agents didn't do that. We did it to do it. We didn't do it for glory. So, and that's what made me even more proud of all the agents in our office. It was, even after the fact, there were, nobody knew how many semi truckloads of stuff we had brought in, and it was, and that probably made me equally, if not more, proud about how our agents reacted to that.
Well, the value there, Ben, was your own agents. I mean, the real story was being told within your own market center without having to frame it in a Facebook post, right? Like you guys as agents knew, right? And look, there's always going to be a balance between, doing that stuff and also how you share it in a way that makes it feel like you're not bragging. But we also, have a job to do at KW. You and I both have a job, and that is to grow KW and make sure the people we're in business with understand who we are and why we're different. And so, that's why we're talking about it now, Ben, is that we can talk about it in a way that's not glorifying it. It's simply, hey, look, I went through this. And for the people, Ben, that are listening to this right now, look, these aren't easy times either right now. All right.
No,
to be a team leader and with all these lawsuits and the way the market is and everything that's going on. So I hope what people hear from this is that, you might think it's hard right now, but imagine being Ben Crenshaw starting a market center with 45 agents and then having the pandemic and a huge tornado happen. And look at Ben now, right? I mean, you're standing, dude. And not only are you standing, that experience has led you to other opportunities in KW. So let's talk about how you ended up going from Kentucky to Fort Wayne, Indiana, right? So you were there in Kentucky for how many years? 2-3 years now? Yeah.
I was in Kentucky for just under 4 years.
Okay.
Just under 4 years. I've been here now for, I think, right at 7-8 months.
Oh, okay. So talk about how that changed, how that opportunity to move, why you went to Fort Wayne. What was it about, working with Aaron Hoover and that opportunity and moving moving to Fort Wayne from Kentucky? Talk about how that sort of happened for you.
Yeah. Well, first I want to say how much I love my previous brokerage, Western Kentucky. It was amazing people, amazing leadership. Linda Cecil was a great OP.
Yeah.
The agents down there, and, consider myself friends to all of them still to this day. But my main focus was to get closer to my wife's family.
Yeah. How selfish of you. I'm just kidding.
Her 2 years ago, we lost her father, and her mother's, by herself at 83 years old now. And my wife is the most attentive sibling. And we were about a 7.5 hour drive, and we wanted to get closer. So that was my biggest motivation. And I didn't want to just take anything, I had, and, if I'm telling the truth, I had opportunities outside of KW, not in the real estate, that I would have looked into to get my wife, closer. But, thankfully this one came available, and, went through the process, and Aaron and I clicked. So here we are.
That's awesome, man. And, look, that's what this company's about. I mean, you didn't, we want people to, it's a life by design, man. Right. I mean, sometimes, and people, I think people listening need to understand, like, a team leader opportunity can be, something you do the rest of your life, but more than likely it's going to lead to other opportunities and other, situations that are going to be a better fit for you and your family. So it's not like you abandoned that office. I'm sure they would love to see you, live, they were your friends too. I'm sure they would love, and they know your story, and that the fact that so your wife's she's taking care of her mom, you said, or
Well,
yeah,
she doesn't. I mean, she just likes to be close. We wanted to be close to her family,
yeah.
to be there for her mom. Yeah.
And where do they live?
She lives in Columbus, Ohio. Just,
Okay, so
so instead of 7 hours, we're 2.5 hours. So,
yeah, that's a big deal. It's a big
yeah.
deal. All right, so Ben, you come into Fort Wayne, you move into a town, you don't know anybody. These agents in Fort Wayne, they don't know you. Okay, so now good thing for you is you would experience a very difficult situation. So you come into this new office. Talk about what experience has been like in 7-8 months at Fort Wayne as a new team leader there, and with what you've learned. What are the challenges? What do what has this experience been like so far the first 7-8 months in Fort Wayne?
It's been pretty great so far. I mean, the agents up here are all amazing as well.
Yeah.
I came in, after they had a really good team leader before me. Caleb did a great job before I did.
Great.
Yeah, he just, his time has come. The team leader life usually isn't very long for some people, and
sure,
it's understandable. It's a stressful job, Aaron. Stressful job.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
But no, we just got up here, got to know the agents. These agents actually relish the fact that I'm not in production, and and I'm not competing with them. They all know that I'm here for them. That's what I've done since I've been here is just I wanted to get a relationship with all the agents, not just the top agents, not just the IMAO owners. I want to get in a relationship with all of them, and that's what I've been doing. And so far, and this leads to my mindset around profit share is as much as I love profit share and I love growing my downline, I love more growing my agents downline.
Well, of course,
that's what I want them to do. I want their downline to grow. I mean, I don't get upset if somebody doesn't, put my name down. I want somebody to, I'm always trying to, coach my agents. Like when I'm talking to people, I want to bring you to lunch too. I want to bring you to this meeting too. And I want you to check in on them to make sure that they're getting what they need. So you're the liaison, not me.
Well, and Ben,
I'm the tool.
Yeah, and you're a smart guy, man. You understand that, as a lifelong sales guy, sales manager, this is all about attracting talent and keeping it, right? I mean, so when you can get your top agents or even any agents in your office to to get excited about profit share and start attracting agents to your office, let's get real. First of all, that means they're having a high level experience in your office and they want to share it with somebody, number one. But number two, when they do share it, they're going to realize, okay, wow, this office is going to back up my recommendation to this person I have a relationship with. And now I'm vested financially in the success of this office, right? So my guess is the more of your agents that are participating in profit share, Ben, the easier your job becomes over time, because now your leverage, which is your agents, is so much more solidified when they are thinking and acting like stakeholders. Agreed?
I agree. And, it's similar to teaching. When I call and make, recruiting appointments, the agents, outside agents know that's my job.
Yeah.
But when an agent in the office says, man, you need to really talk to Ben, this is great.
Exactly.
That just opens their eyes a little bit more. And that's why getting the agents involved in it is so important. And I know they hear this all the time. It's it's 100% true though. I mean, everybody knows it, but it's 100% true. If you can get the agent to make that first contact and give you that warm lead and keep the agent involved throughout the process, it's huge. But to do that, you have to have the agent to buy in also.
Yeah. And that requires trust then, right? It requires trust with that. Because look, when you pass a name off to a team leader, now obviously that person has a responsibility to provide more value than just, hey Ben, here's a name and a number of somebody I did a deal with. Obviously I always tell people the bar is that when the team leader calls that recruit, they're expecting that phone call, and they're hopefully as excited as they can be to receive that call. But if they can just do that and follow up and trust that, hey, the person I'm referring them to is my closer, right? That makes it so much easier for them because they don't have to recruit. They just have to excite and refer. So as a new team leader, Ben, how did you, because look, you're going to build you got no problem, I'm guessing, picking up the phone and dialing and cold calling people. Okay. If
I've done it my whole life. Yeah, I've done it my whole life.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to grow this market center one way or the other. Obviously, you understand I want to grow it through my agents versus having to grow it myself. But either way, Ben's going to grow the office with or without his agents, okay? Because that's his job. So what was it? How did you build that trust? How are you building that trust? I'm sure it's an ongoing thing with you. But what are you doing, Ben, as a team leader in a market center? You've only been there 7-8 months. Obviously, you're building the trust, you're building relationships with them, but what is it that you're doing intentionally to really get them to be purposeful about giving you names and numbers? And I mean, what is there anything besides talk about what how you talk about it, what your intentionality is around it? Look, your market center is actually one of our more profitable market centers. So I know that probably is helpful in at least talking about that as a return on investment. But talk about your conversations with your agents and how you are trying to get them excited about getting people to you.
So first of all, I stay involved in their business, right? I stay involved in them, and I try to be a vessel to help them grow. If I'm not the person to do it, I try to find them the person to do it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I don't want to say always because nobody's perfect. I intend to do what I say I'm going to do.
Yeah.
If I tell you I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really big. And I believe every agent and everybody in the office, not just agents, but every member of the office wants to be heard and understood and valued. Yeah. And if you give them that opportunity, I think that's, that helps everybody.
Yeah.
Just stand a little taller and feel a little bit more important in their own in their office.
Well, and Ben, let's get real, man. A capper is a capper is a capper. I mean, obviously, top agents, get more listings, more market share. They attract, similar type agents. But the fact is, a capper is a capper at KW. And if you can help turn your non-cappers into half cappers and your half cappers into cappers, not only are you creating what I would call raving fans for this office, but you're also generating a lot more company dollar and getting a lot more profitable, which kind of creates a momentum around the conversations around profit share. Is look, the more profitable you are, the more agents are making or receiving from growing the office. I mean, the more excited they're going to be to do it. So it's you look at your roster. Obviously, you're an 80-20 guy. I know you bleed MREA just like I do. So I mean, your top 20% of your agents are going to be your main your not your main focus, but are going to be a priority. But I love the fact that you realize that, hey, the lower 80% in your office, my guess, Ben, probably generates more company dollar than the top 20% of your agents. Is that a crazy thought?
It's not a crazy thought. And like I said, I've talked with a couple of team leaders that are friends of mine across the country, and they do have the mindset as well. Yes, focus on the top 20%. That's our job, and make sure that next 20% is becoming top 20%.
Exactly.
And make sure that because the more cappers you build, the more happy people you have.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you help people make more money, they're going to like you.
Right. Exactly.
And that doesn't necessarily mean because our splits are cheaper, but if you give them more value and teach them how to make more money, then they're going to be really good. But at the same time, Aaron, as well as I do, if money's the only conversation, people will leave you for money.
Right. Yeah, because there'll always be a better price offer coming down the pipe from another company. So, Ben, I've been seeing you for months now. Are you traveling around and teaching outside of Fort Wayne? I mean, because what I see a lot of your posts, and it seems like you're very purposeful about sharing the KW value, but are you going around teaching a class, sharing your thoughts around this, or is this just me picking up the wrong signals on Facebook? Are you teaching? Yeah.
Well, what I do is I invite teachers outside of my area to come in and teach, and I reciprocate. right?
Okay.
So everybody knows Shannon Dager. She's an
Yeah.
amazing
I'll be
instructor.
teaching in her office
Yeah.
in August or September. Yep.
Right. So Shannon came up and taught here, and just recently she asked me to come back down there, and I went to her office and taught. And,
So
I'm
what are you
going to
teaching?
another office. Actually, this one I just went and talked about the NAR stuff and
Okay.
the buyer broker agency stuff coming up, because we started in July, not
Yeah.
August 17th.
Yeah.
Indiana, we started July 1st, so we've probably already had, I think, talked to my broker, 12 classes in our brokerage about preparing our agents for the times to come with the NAR settlement.
Yeah.
So because we've done it a little bit more than our neighboring states, I've been traveling to some of those to help give that information.
So what am I seeing behind these because I mean, if they're a lot of your posts are very, I'm seeing some Aaron Kaufman coming out in some of your posts. I mean, I see you posting a lot of, KW value posts. What's behind that? Is that just a passion for the KW value proposition and wanting to share it? I mean, what's behind that? I mean, besides what your job is to grow the office, because I see something deeper there, Ben. I see a passion for KW and the value proposition. I see you posting a lot of stuff that's very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, I do love this company for the value proposition. I've told many people the fact that we put God Family Business on our wall and we follow that. Yeah. And you can translate that to faith family business. I don't want to.
Sure.
But the fact that we follow that and teach it, I mean, because all of us teach the favorite class called time blocking, and when we teach that time blocking class, everybody in my class knows the first thing you do, put down your family time, put down your vacation time, put down the times you got to pick up the kids, you got to go to that school play, you put down the time you go to church and you go to, whatever you got to do, you put that down first, because that's the most important part for you. Is if you're not a good you're never going to be good for somebody else.
So true. That's so true.
And I think our value proposition teaches that, and that is just super important. We don't necessarily teach people to go out there and just 14 hours a day be on your phone trying to sell and make a deal, go to bed, get up and do it the next day. We teach you to have a great work-life balance, and I think being a part of KW, if you truly get into what Keller Williams is, you just become a better human being.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And Ben, obviously I'm a Simon Sinek golden circle. People don't buy what you do, they buy while you do it. And there's not anything in Keller Williams that's not strategic. Okay. And I'm not in any way trying to dilute God Family Business. And I love the fact that you said it could be faith family business. Look, we want to be the most inclusive company, right? Of stakeholders, right? We're in countries that are predominantly Muslim. Okay. So we all agree that God Family Business is, what does that mean? What does God mean to you? What does your faith mean to you? Right. But the other thing I wanted to say, Ben, is that, God Family Business, man, why, how, what? Okay. KW understands that agents that are driven by something more than just selling real estate are probably going to be more purposeful, or probably going to have a longer real estate career. So even though it's, look, God Family Business makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside, I want people to understand that it's an intentional decision. I'm not diluting it. I'm saying that we understand completely that this is not about selling real estate. Okay. This is about helping agents build careers worth having, business worth owning, lives worth living, legacies worth leaving, experiences worth giving. It's not, real estate, selling real estate is how, right, you live your why, right? So I just want people to understand that it's intentional, and you don't see other companies being intentional about it because they don't think the same way that we think, right? Agents are our customers, okay? They are our partners, and if we can help them be more successful, we understand that we're a much stronger company. And look, there's a reason we took over the entire industry in 35 years without spending any money marketing our logo. Okay. It's that we're the best place for agents that value what we value to achieve their why. It's just that simple. So Ben, let's talk about conversations, things around profit share. I know you're not being very intentional about building your own profit share, but you get that, hey, you get paid on the profitability and the growth of the market center, right? But what are some of your conversations that you're having with recruits. I mean, talk about when you sit down with an agent in another company. Talk about how you handle those conversations and how they go and what your mindset is around that stuff.
Well, in this area right now, what I have to do is explain that it's not a pyramid scheme, and we're not a marketing company. So,
right, which is hilarious that they're still saying it, right? I mean, they're still saying it 40 years later. We're the number one company in every category, and you have to address the pyramid scheme myth in your
just
market.
about every conversation I have. Yeah,
I mean, how insane is that? I mean, but you look at that like opportunity, right? I mean, the fact is, we all knew who we were, and they weren't here. That would be more concerning, correct?
Right. I mean, I've even gotten emails back saying I would never work for a pyramid scheme company, and truthfully, I guess the way they think a pyramid scheme is every company on the planet's a pyramid scheme because there's always somebody at the top, making more money than the person here. But
well, of course. I mean, let's just go. And by the way, let's just, for anybody listening and is hearing the same thing, okay, let's just talk about a couple quick, things about a pyramid scheme. One, we all agree pyramid schemes are illegal. Okay. We're the number one real estate company in every category, probably not an illegal company. Also, Ben, we know that about 30% of our agents even participate in profit share. So if it was a pyramid scheme, I have a feeling we would all be participating in it. But here's the bigger thing. What better way to grow a real estate company than to reward the agents who, by the way, are driving your business and have relationships with other agents? What better way to grow a real estate company than to reward them for growing it? Now they're vested financially in the profitability of your company. So my guess is they'll buy into culture more, and they're probably less likely to leave. And I think people need to understand that, I mean, the pyramid scheme thing is hilarious, but the fact is, profit share and treating your agents like partners is the catalyst for our entire value. And look, it's got to be frustrating to be having to try to overcome that objection. But the fact is, if they think that 40 years later, or they're not going to listen to reason, my guess is they ain't going to buy into our models, our systems, our training, our culture anyways. So, but for those, how do you overcome that pyramid scheme thing? And then what are some of the other conversations you're having, Ben, with agents that you're meeting with right now?
Well, quickly, I explained pretty much what you just explained, that pyramid schemes are illegal. I say almost exactly what you said. We're the largest real estate company in the world. If we were doing something illegal, something would have happened already. And it's all good. But I do explain it like, profit share is a thank you. Is what that is. It's a thank you from the market center. It's a thank you from KWRI for bringing in an agent, for helping grow our business, and for helping that agent grow their business. And that's 100% what it is. It's here. Thank you for this part of the profit for this month. Here, here's some mailbox money for you, and you can utilize that as little or as much as you want to. And I explain to people. I know people that do $0 in profit share. I know people whose goal is to keep have their profit share pay for their cap. $15,000, $20,000 a year. And of course, I'm friends with the McKissicks who together make, I think, about $1.5 million a year in profit share. And so it's how intentional you want to be about it.
Just another branch of the KW opportunity map, right? And look, obviously, that kind of conversation you have to overcome, but it's like, if you polled every KW agent why they came to KW, I mean, my guess is profit share would fall at about 6 to 8.
Probably.
List of reasons they came to KW, right? But I think it's important to understand, Ben, that, I think some of our market centers, their response to profit share or people's perception of it is to kind of dismiss it, right? Like, oh, listen, it's just icing on the cake, honey. Like, it's just icing on the cake. Don't worry about how it works. Let's talk about training, models, and systems. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. But, I heard a great saying once, Ben, retention starts in the recruiting presentation. You know what also starts in the recruiting presentation? Profit share. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are apologetic about profit share in the recruiting appointment, or we kind of dismiss it as this icing on the cake, or we're not profitable as a market center, so we don't want to highlight this aspect of our model that maybe is deficient right now, at what point are these people going to be inspired if you're not even talking about it in the beginning? And so that's where I think it's interesting when, I know a lot of people don't talk about profit share, in the recruiting appointment because they feel like it sort of dilutes our value as a training and consulting company. And I just want people to understand, we all think, Brad, we've already said it in this call, we believe, you and I know, believe that our culture is our greatest value proposition at KW. It's just that simple. We, in an industry that's always been kind of independent, we are the only true interdependent company where agents have an incentive to work together and care about each other. The problem is, if we don't talk about the catalyst for why it's different,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to get people to buy into culture. And then it's even harder to get them excited to grow a market center where nobody understands that, right?
Yeah.
So you agree with me on that? I know.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I talk about profit share, and it's the one thing I make a point to definitely always talk about in recruiting appointments. Of course, you want to talk about the needs of the agent you're recruiting and talking to. I don't even like to use the word recruiting personally, but
sure,
because I'm trying to help somebody grow their business is what I'm trying to do. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure we do mention profit share, because it is a big deal. I mean, I think profit share is nice. I mean, to the agent, it's almost free money for just having a friend of yours that's an agent help them join and help them grow their business. And then they may do the same thing. They're right. Hey, you need to come too. And very quickly that profit share can grow. I mean, I've got a guy I know that he does about $2.5 million a year in sales, and he does $50,000 a year in profit share.
Yeah.
Because he loves the company so much, he spends a lot of time bringing people into the company.
Exactly.
So but I think it's a huge value proposition. And once you explain it and they start understanding it, that's two sides of that, right? You can explain it, but they have to understand it as well.
Exactly.
So, and we're new here. We're only about 6 years old, 7 years old in this market. So that's why we're still fighting that battle up here, that we're a pyramid scheme. And
well, I mean, look, you're the big, if I remember correctly, and I won't mention their name, but there is a very large national traditional dependent company in Fort Wayne that is number one, or is it a local dependent that's number one there?
No, it's number one.
Yeah. Right. What I'm saying is, I came from, one of those companies, and the things that I heard about Keller Williams before I left that company and came to KW was probably the same thing that they're hearing from their company. Look, if you're running one of these traditional companies in a kind of a traditional market like Fort Wayne, and you know that there's a innovative, interdependent company that treats their agents like stakeholders and invests in training, support, and technology, and where there's an incentive for people to work together and care about each other, I don't know, you're probably going to try to get ahead of that by kind of telling your version of our story. And so I think that's one of the, and look, I know, Ben, you get excited probably when somebody says we're a pyramid scheme, because you see that as an opportunity to kind of educate and realize that, hey, in this market, we're still the best kept secret, even though we're the number one company in the industry. We're probably still the best kept secret in Fort Wayne. So that for you is an opportunity, to really get out there and share the story.
I'd like to pivot on that, actually, Aaron,
please.
because you said that, they're going to tell our story inside their office. And I think that it's a problem that I've seen in a lot of KW offices, is we don't do a great job of telling our story.
Yeah.
That starts with
recruiting
our leadership. A recruiting appointment.
It does though, right?
But it also starts with your ALC, your top 20%, and your ownership group. All of those people have to be willing to tell our story.
Yeah.
And if we don't do it, somebody else is going to do it for you. Exactly. And if you let somebody else do it for you, it's probably not going to be accurate.
So true. So true.
And that's, that's why you see a lot of the posts that I make, is I want to make sure that I'm not only through my phone calls and appointments, but socially, I'm trying to tell our story.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You're doing a hell of a job, man. I mean, seriously. I mean, I read some of your posts and I'm just like, I mean, it's like, this is the stuff that got me fired up, when I decided to go get really intentional about profit share. So once you get past, you get past profit share and you're getting deeper into some of these consultations. What are you finding I mean, I know every agent's different, Ben, but what are you finding right now in this moment? What part of the KW value proposition is most interesting and exciting to people you're meeting with right now?
Well, and then this is another objection I've had to handle, and I'm sure a lot of you guys had to, is that we're not just a training company for new agents.
Right.
Funny
that's the knock on KW, right? Like, first of all, let's get real. You're damn right we are. Okay. And we
can also take that $5 million agent to a $10 million agent. We can take that $10 million agent, make you a $20 million agent.
Right.
And what I do is after, during that process, I tell my story and how I would like to be the vessel to help you to make it to the next level. Yeah. And like, for example, I've got an agent in my office right now who we're going to work on getting her an expansion team in Florida.
Awesome.
And, she's pretty excited about it. I mean, she's our number one volume agent here.
Be the first agent to do expansion out of your market center.
Yeah. So
incredible, right? Because that'll probably inspire some other agents to consider that as well, right?
Yeah. And we literally just started having that conversation because, she's looking at ways to grow. She does, quite a bit of volume right now in a very small area where she lives a little bit outside of Fort Wayne, but the next step to her business is she has a home in Florida. I mean, it's simple.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, you don't have to, last time I checked, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? At KW, right? Because there's always somebody doing it bigger and better than you. I think that's the thing, Ben. We talk about, this culture of sharing within the market center and the incentive for agents to care about each other within the office. But I would tell you, I think the biggest value proposition at KW is the entire company's ecosystem, right? I mean, you said it before. I mean, your relationships with leadership around, outside of your market center and the relationship you have with kind of bringing in training and going back and forth. I mean, the sharing of ideas and the masterminding and the referral business flowing through the KW ecosystem is worth the price of admission. And I don't know why an agent thinks that if they're in an office, in a traditional company with one office where there's no incentive for people to work together and care about each other, how they're possibly going to be able to hold a candle to the value, right, that we have being a part of a company of 180,000 stakeholders, right?
Right.
Do you talk about sort of the ecosystem of KW and how, look, even in Fort Wayne, you're able to plug in to something so much bigger than just that amazing office?
I do. And I use one of our agents as an example. We have a guy, don't mind sharing his name. His name is Brandon Farrell. He's got a great team. They closed 155 units last year.
Wow.
And their office is in a town of 15,000 people.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's, it's a great team.
Yeah.
And Brandon, I think he's got a total of 10 admin plus agents. First time this year he went to family reunion, and you walk into a room and he walks into a room where the guy on the panel sells 100 a month. He's like, you just get wide-eyed and at the same time excited, going, so there's a way that I could actually do that. And it's like, so first we've got to get you to stop doing all those little bitty things that you do, but yes, it's a process, but and I think, and it's a slow process sometimes. I believe anything worth keeping is, anything that happens too fast can die fast.
Yeah.
So anything you nurture is something that's going to last. And a lot of the relationships I'm building outside our company are based on the fact that how they can grow, whether it's that $3 million agent or whether it's that $15 million agent, that getting the trust that I can take them to the next level.
Yeah. Well, and what an advantage to be at a company where agents are doing things in KW that no one's even dreamt about yet in Fort Wayne, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, to
I mean,
be
we
able
can
to,
put you in bigger rooms as well. Like I say, if you want to, if you've imagined it, I can put you in that room.
yeah. And do
And
you
if
want to
and
be
if
the
and
smartest, right? Do you want
yeah,
to be the smartest person in that room? No, you don't.
no, no, if
Right.
you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
The way I
Now,
look at it.
obviously, not the average agent in Fort Wayne is probably, my guess, selling 4 to 6 houses a year, like the national average.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful, Ben, about how. I mean, because look, as you know, I'm Mr. Vomit KW. In my class, I mean, it's 3 hours of why, how, what. But not everybody not everybody needs to hear the entire story or all the value that we offer. So what is your process? I mean, obviously it starts with them, right? It starts with what they want to achieve. And then you maybe focus on that next step, right? Instead of going, fourth industrial revolution and proprietary tech and all the other
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
that we're doing as a company. How do you kind of hold back the reins of wanting to tell them everything, making sure that you're focusing on that one thing that is their pain point?
Well, you got to get to know them. You got to get to know who they are.
Yeah,
One, you want to know who they are before you bring them into the company. You don't want to
sure.
bring somebody that's not going to be a culture fit, no
Exactly.
matter what their volume is into the company.
Have you turned anybody away from?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. And with that, it's one of my favorite quotes is from our beloved Mo Anderson: "Is anybody that chooses profit over culture is a coward."
yeah.
And
Totally.
I believe that 100% because one bad person could cause a cancer in the office really quick.
No question about it.
But nonetheless, usually when I'm meeting with them is I want to get to know them, know who they are, try to figure out what their goals are. It's kind of similar to when you're on a buying appointment,
Yeah,
buying agent appointment. You want to find out really who they are, not what they want. Does that make
right.
sense?
Yeah,
Because what they want may not be what they need, and they may not even have an idea what they can do.
right. So
So
start with their why. Yeah.
yeah, you got to find out who they are, what they want, what's their family life like, and then you got to decide, do they want to only sell a couple houses a month? Is that okay with
Yeah.
them? Do
Yeah.
they want to sell 100 houses a year? Do they want to grow a team? And you can't scare them with,
Right.
yeah, we can get you to do 25 million a year.
Exactly.
Because you'll throw them on their heels,
Right.
you got to let them know that we can comfortably grow to the level that you want to get to. Because everybody has different goals. Not everybody wants to sell 155 houses a year.
That's a great point.
And you have to learn that. But that doesn't mean they won't ever do that because they can only think to the point of selling 2 houses a month.
Right.
And then when they start doing it, they think, I got plenty of time. I could sell 4 houses a month,
Exactly.
and
You just
then
got to get them to the next step, right? You got to show them the path to achieve what they want in that moment, knowing that possibly will and probably will change once they achieve that, right? I mean, the one thing that, what's the next domino for this person to make their life bigger, right?
Yes.
Get closer to what they want, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the way I look at it is, like I said, even for our top agent that's looking to expand is, Aaron, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and we've seen further than any agent can see for themselves.
That's such a
because
great point.
we've seen what other people can do, and sometimes it would scare them if you tell them what they could do at the $2 million mark or the brand new agent mark. So,
well, the best thing is we've done all the failing for you, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
the people that have come before you, they've failed so many times that now they know what works, right? And that ultimately, Ben, is what makes us so unique. Is that like you said, there are people that have come before you, and in our company, they're have an incentive to give back and share how they've done it. And if people just understood that at a higher level, and I mean people like our own people understood that at the highest level. I mean, the potential for our company is off the charts. I mean, I'm all about gross, but I'm much more concerned about the agents we're already in business with understanding that, because it's hard to deliver on that when a lot of your people that you're in business with don't get it. And I say this every time on these calls, but we're on the third generation of Keller Williams, Ben. I mean, how many people in your office? I mean, you've only been around for 6-7 years. I mean, how many people that I don't meet a lot of people that have been at KW as long as me. Okay. And so I worry about where, if we don't keep telling our stories better, if we don't, deliver on our value at the highest level, what are we going to look like, 10, 20, 30, 40 years? And that's the mindset of a profit share earner, of a stakeholder, Ben, is that this ain't about my next check, man. I'm building a legacy and I want to protect it. And I would hope more people that watch this, that are purposeful about profit share, understand this is not about our next check. If we do this right, this will ripple through generations of our families. And, we should want to protect that. So look, we're coming to the end here, Ben.
Yeah.
Talk about, an agent comes to you and they say, hey, okay, Ben, I get it, man. I love this office. I want to get intentional about profit share. Take me through the first 3 or 4 things that I need to do, whether it be mindset, whether it be, strategy, time blocking, whatever. What are you telling people that come to you, that your own agents who want to get purposeful about profit share? What are your insights and thoughts if you're speaking to one of those agents?
Well, the first thing I do is, you've already hit on it, is don't just vomit KW on them. And I don't really want you to recruit. I want you to introduce them to myself, and or our productivity coach. Because he makes those appointments as well, and even our broker.
And be someone they respect, right? Like don't be a crappy agent, then hand me a name and number and expect me to have any success attracting somebody who didn't enjoy working with you.
Right. And I always lead with, if they're a cultural fit, please give me their phone number and I would love to meet with them. Yeah. And I tell them, if it's an agent on the other side of the table and you had a great deal and they were easy to work with and help solve some problems, just give them the, I mean, the old script. So, it's just have them say, hey, would you take a call from my team leader?
Yeah.
That's all I ask. And when you start getting intentional about that and just hand off a few warm leads, a few of them are going to follow through.
Yeah.
But just don't sit down with them and say, well, Keller Williams will do this, Keller Williams will do that. We have command. We can do all this. You may be talking to somebody who doesn't even like to touch a computer.
Exactly.
You gotta know who you're talking to. So
especially in Fort Wayne, Indiana, right?
Yeah.
I'm joking.
No, I know.
But the fact is, right. Be an agent they respect. Okay. Find people that are a cultural fit. Okay. Tell them, you love KW and add maybe a part of your story of how the company's changed your life. Ask them if it's okay if they have your team leader contact them, right? Follow up, all that great stuff. And Ben, when you call one of these agents, that when an agent gives you a name and a number and they say, hey, I called them, what does that phone call look like to you? When you pick up the phone and you call an agent that another agent in your office gave you the name and number for?
I always lead that. I say, I call and say, hey, Aaron Kaufman gave me your number. Y'all just closed on 123 Main Street, man. They said you were great to work with. And you know how hard it is sometimes to find a great agent on the other side of the deal. And I just wanted to call and tell you, I appreciate you being easy to work with and helping solve X problem about through the inspection. So I really appreciate that. And that's how I open every phone call from when an agent gives me like that.
And then where does it go from there? They say, okay, well, thank you, Ben, for the call.
Yeah. Well, actually, so far, every time I've never had anybody cut it off like that. They're surprised about the phone call for sure. Because usually, they usually know the purpose of my call.
Yeah.
And I usually follow up with that and asking about the deal. I want to talk to them about how the deal went. What was your experience? Yeah, I want to get them in conversation.
Sure.
And you make them feel comfortable when they're in conversation, right? Yeah. Because if I just hit them like, hey, thanks for a great deal, let's have lunch, let's have coffee, then it's no, thank you.
So you ask about how your agent did or their thoughts about it.
Yeah. I ask them about the deal. Give me your perspective on it. I'd love to learn from you, and because I'm new to me right now, I'm new to the area. I'm learning about Fort Wayne. Right. So I'm wanting to learn from everybody I can.
Yeah.
And so I get them in conversation about the deal. I get them in conversation about their business after that. So, I'll lead into, so how's your business looking this year? And, they'll talk about it, as I'm talking about them. What do people like to talk about, themselves? Exactly. And, after talking for a minute, I'd say, man, I appreciate the call. If you're available sometime this week, I'd like to have a coffee or maybe even have some lunch and talk about business.
That's awesome.
And, I'd say probably so far 9 times out of 10, that's yeah. We'll have some coffee. I'm
That's
lucky.
awesome.
My office is centered around about 4 coffee shops. So.
Yeah, great. That's great.
There's not a shortage of caffeine in Fort Wayne. I could promise you that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's how I lead into it. I want to know their perspective of the whole thing. And again, it goes back to people want to be heard and understood.
Yeah.
And valued. And I try to make them feel that even when I'm having that phone call. I want that agent to be heard and understood. I don't want them just to get the phone call. Hey, I heard you're a great agent. Let's have lunch.
But the great thing, Ben, is that this is your DNA, man. You're a salesman,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, this is sales, right? I mean, whether it's selling Motorola phones or whether it's attracting people to KW, you understand that it's about building rapport and relationships, making them feel like you care about them and not the sale. So, and I would imagine, and I know that your agents feel the same way about you in your office. That you're there to help them. You're not there to be nice to get, a reward for that. This is who you are. And so Ben, look, dude, I can't thank you enough for spending, your time with us today. And, you just keeping on doing what you're doing, man. And I can't wait to see you in you can be in Austin in next month. Yeah.
Yeah. I should be in Austin. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll see you there in Austin, man. But thanks again for taking your time today, man.
No, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you very much.
All right, brother. We'll see you soon.
All right. See you, man. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.